In 2012, the government built an elevator to make it easier and faster for smaller companies to reach the heights of success and growth. But a lot of startups and small and medium enterprises are not aware that such an elevator exists. They instead take the stairs and reach success one step at a time. Those who know of this elevator are greatly advantaged. What I am talking about is the SME Exchange. There is a separate platform which exists that makes it easier and more convenient for smaller companies to access public funds. In this lecture series, we will be deliberating on why a company should consider listing itself. We will look at the steps which are involved in this listing process, and we will also see what the law says you can and cannot do once you are listed. So let's dive right in. In this first video, we are going to talk about why there was a need to create a separate exchange called the SME Exchange. We will look into what are the advantages of the SME Exchange over the main board. SME Exchange. SME Exchange is a separate platform that was created for the listing of smaller companies. In case of an SME Exchange, it is easier to list, and also the compliances that you need to follow once you are listed, those are much simpler when compared to the main board. Your main board is just another word that is used for the normal stock exchange that we all know of, and if there were no such SME exchange created in India, then the only option that is available with companies would be to list themselves on the main board. And to be able to qualify to be listed on the main board, a company will have to make sure that its operating profit is at least 15 crores for 3 out of the last 5 financial years. So getting an operating profit like that will be very difficult for a lot of companies. And even if somehow you are able to qualify for all the eligibility criteria, at the time of listing, the company will have to ensure that at least 1,000 investors invest in the shares of the company. Now, again, for a smaller company to be able to create such confidence in its company that 1,000 investors invest is again difficult. And lastly, if in spite of this you are listed on the main board, once you are listed, you need to ensure that you provide financials and other report on a quarterly basis. So every 3 months, your company will have to work into preparing the financials, getting them audited, preparing certain other reports that are required, and provided to the stock exchange. So for a smaller company, that will become a full-time year-round activity, or at least they will have to have a separate department that takes care of such listed requirements. And for a small company, it is not practical. So because of these reasons, the smaller companies were denied access to funds from the public. Though they are otherwise strong companies, though they are on the way to growth, they were denied listing on stock market. And these companies could be tomorrow's Tatas or Reliances, but because of these strict requirements, they are held back. This is a loss not only for the company but also for the economy, because a large number of SMEs exist in India, and they account for a lot of employment and income in India. And also it's a loss for the investor, since he is not able to take part in the growth of the company, though he is willing to invest in smaller companies. So this is why in 2012 in India we had the BSc SME and NSE emerge setup, wherein smaller companies were allowed to list themselves with easier eligibility criteria. Let us look into the key differences between the main board and the SME exchange. As we've already seen, the eligibility criteria is strict for the main board, whereas it is much more relaxed for SME. We will be looking into more on this in the coming slides. And in case of an SME platform, you will only have to ensure that you have 50 investors investing into your company at the time of listing. And On the main board, there is a requirement that if you are trying to raise 10 crore from the public, for example, you have to receive applications for at least 9 crores of that entire amount. So, if you're not able to raise this 9 crore, then the entire cost that you incurred, all the efforts that you took to be able to come this far will go to waste, and your IPO will be a failed IPO. Um, Taking into consideration that there are such difficulties, in case of an SME platform, there is a requirement that the issue will have to be 100% underwritten. Underwriting is a facility wherein even if the public do not buy the shares of the company, the entire shareholding of the company will be bought by agencies called underwriters. So they charge a fee for it, and it's like an insurance for your IPO. Even if the public don't buy it, you are guaranteed that your shares will be listed on the stock market. And in case of the main board, if you are trying to get yourself listed, you will have to coordinate with the SEBI, which is the Securities and Exchange Board of India, the regulatory body for all things related to listing, and you will also have to coordinate with the stock exchange. So it becomes difficult to constantly coordinate with two big institutions, and that is why, in case of the SME platform, you only have to coordinate with the stock exchange, and if needed, the stock exchange will coordinate with SEBI. With regard to the post listing compliance, in case of the SME platform, you only have to provide half yearly abridged reports. Anyways, at the end of the financial year, you will be preparing your financials, you will be getting them audited. So you just have to prepare one more set of these documents in the middle of the year, and they don't even have to be audited, they can be a limited review report. So that also becomes easier. Now, with regard to the last 2 points, we have to keep in mind that the government is trying to promote small and medium enterprises, but at the same time, the government should also protect investors. Since the eligibility criteria and also the information that is provided by the SMEs on a regular basis is much simpler and lesser, the control that the regulatory authorities have over these companies is much less, and it can happen that the shareholders' funds might get misused if if everybody is allowed to invest in such companies listed on the SME platform. So this is why there is a requirement that if an investor wants to invest in a company which is listed on the SME platform, they will have to invest at least 1 lakh rupees. So this is there to ensure that only those with the resources to look into the strengths of the company, only those who have the ability to take certain loss are investing into the SME platform. The last difference is with regard to market making. Market making is the concept wherein there is an institution that you pay a certain fee to, and they ensure that there is liquidity for the shares. So in case of the main board, there are a lot more investors investing in the company. There are a lot of people trading in the shares, buying and selling the shares on a daily, hourly basis. But that might not be seen on the SME platform, because there is this restriction of 1 lakh, and because less people are aware that there is such an SME platform, the number of investors who are buying and selling will be less. So it should not happen that I invest into a company, and when I want to sell the shares for some reason, I'm not able to find a buyer and my money is stuck in the company. So in order to protect the investor and also to create confidence in the investor that yes, even if I want to sell my shares, I will be able to find a buyer. In order to create such confidence, there is a requirement that the market making facility should be subscribed for at least 3 years by the company. You will find the notes to this video in the description box down below. While you're there, do take a moment to like this video. It always means a lot when you do. In our next video, we will be talking about the eligibility criteria for SME listing. We will look at what the company needs to comply with at the time of listing. To ensure that you don't miss the next upload, do consider subscribing to this channel and of course share this video with all your colleagues and fellow professionals. Thank you.